You see, in this world, everything that is truly beautiful never chases. The sun never chases the moon, yet the moon follows its path. A flower does not run around trying to be noticed, yet the bees cannot resist it. So why is it that in the matters of love and companionship, so many are constantly chasing? You must understand this. When you are not whole within yourself, but this very act of seeking, of chasing, comes from a place of inner incompleteness. And that, my dear, is not attractive. It's needy, it's noisy, and nobody, not even the right man, wants noise. The first thing you must do is become still. Not still on the outside, no, not pretending, but truly still inside. Because when you are still, when you are in tune with your own nature, your own being, you radiate a certain fragrance. Just like the flower, you begin to attract not by effort but by essence. Do not misunderstand love as a desperate act of finding someone. Love is not about finding, love is about becoming. If you become a person who is full of life, full of joy, full of clarity, full of grace, tell me, who wouldn't want to be with you? But the problem is, most people want a relationship to escape themselves. You do not like your loneliness, so you want someone to fill it. But if your loneliness is unbearable to you, why should it be someone else's pleasure? So, don't seek love, seek to become love. This is not philosophy, this is biology, this is energy. When your energy is settled, joyful and balanced, it sends a signal, not through your phone, but through life itself. The kind of person who resonates with that signal will find you, without you needing to run, bend or beg. Do you water a tree by chasing its branches? No, you nourish the roots and everything else falls into place. You must become deeply rooted in who you are. That means taking responsibility, not for others' feelings but for your own growth. If you spend your time beautifying your body and ignoring your being, you may attract eyes but not hearts. But if your being becomes radiant, joyful, aware, you will not need to chase. The right man or the right life will simply come and sit next to you, quietly, peacefully, because that's what real connection feels like, not a fire but a steady flame. So stop running, sit still, grow roots, bloom, and remember, becoming love is far more powerful than looking for it. In this life, the most fundamental relationship you will ever have is not with any man, woman, friend or lover, it is with yourself. Yet, this is the relationship most people ignore entirely. They seek love outside because they have not found peace inside. When you are internally fractured, you begin to look outward to fill in the cracks. You chase affection, approval and attention, hoping that someone else's presence will make your absence disappear. But this is not how life works. You attract not what you desire, but what you are. If your inner state is chaotic, restless, needy or desperate, that energy will speak before your words ever do. And you will notice again and again that the people who come into your life reflect your own unsettled state. This is not punishment, it is precision. Life is simply showing you a mirror. You want a peaceful relationship, become peaceful. You want a conscious partner, become conscious. You want to stop chasing, then first stop running from yourself. Now people ask, but how can I become whole when I am longing for love? This is like saying, I will learn to swim after I cross the river. It does not work like that. The longing for love is natural, but if it is coming from emptiness, it will always lead to more longing, not fulfillment. The moment you begin to turn inward and explore the vastness of your own being, you will realize you were never lacking in the first place. That completeness is not something a man brings to you, it is something you realize within you. Then if a relationship happens, it's an enhancement, not a necessity. It becomes a joyful sharing, not a desperate clinging. Look at nature. A tree does not beg for the sun to shine, it simply stands rooted and alive. And because of its rootedness, it receives what it needs. The same goes for you. The deeper your roots in self-awareness, self-respect and stillness, the more naturally the right people, including the right partner, will come to you. And even if they don't, you will be okay, because your joy is no longer held hostage by another's presence. So stop asking, where is the right man, and start asking, am I becoming the kind of woman who naturally attracts that level of connection? When you shift from seeking to becoming, everything changes. You move from desperation to grace, from emptiness to abundance, and from that space where you are already full, already complete, the right man doesn't need to be chased. He simply recognizes the harmony in you and stays. If you truly want the right person to walk into your life, the first and most essential step is to stop trying to become what others want and instead become whole within yourself. The problem is not that the right man hasn't come yet. The problem is that you may not yet be the version of yourself that attracts and sustains the kind of relationship you're longing for. Most people are trying to fix the outside without ever realizing the real work is inside. You cannot draw in something deeply nourishing and meaningful when you are vibrating from a space of lack, fear or incompletion. You only attract what you are, not what you chase. When you are whole, your energy changes, you no longer radiate neediness or insecurity. There is a quiet confidence, a presence about you that says, I am enough. And when you exist in that state, the right man cannot help but feel drawn to you, not because you need him, but because you don't. The absence of need becomes a magnet. You see, true attraction happens not through force, but through frequency. You cannot fake it. You can dress it up, smile perfectly, play the right games, but energy never lies. If deep down you feel unworthy or unfulfilled, it will leak through every interaction. So many people run through relationships like a thirsty traveler looking for water in a mirage. They think someone else's love will finally make them feel complete. But that's not love, that's dependence dressed as romance, and it will never last. Because the moment you lean too heavily on someone else to give you what you haven't given yourself, the relationship becomes heavy. Love turns into pressure, presence becomes obligation. The beauty of wholeness is that it doesn't wait, it doesn't beg, it doesn't chase, it simply is, like a mountain, it stands. And what is meant for it comes in its own time, its own way. There's a certain kind of peace that surrounds a person who is whole within themselves. They are not seeking to be completed, they are already full, and from that fullness, they are open to connection but not addicted to it. When you reach that place, when your sense of self is not tied to who stays or who leaves, you become free. And freedom is deeply attractive. It carries with it a quiet power that speaks louder than words. It says, I know who I am, I honor who I am, and I welcome love, but I do not chase it. So if you want the right man to come, don't look outward, look inward. Water your own roots. Sit with your solitude. Learn to love your own presence so deeply that it becomes a privilege for someone else to be invited into your space. Because once you are whole, you no longer need to search, the right energy will find you. And when it does, it will recognize you, not by appearance, not by effort, but by essence. Many people approach love as if it is something to be earned, bargained for or strategically pursued. They mold themselves into what they believe will be pleasing, they hide their truth, play roles and do things not out of joy but out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of not being chosen, fear of missing out. But this is not love. This is a transaction. And anything that begins from desperation will only breed more suffering, not stability. Desperation is not a flaw, it is a signal. It means there is an unmet part of you that is crying out, not for someone else, but for your own attention. When that cry is ignored, we start to chase others, hoping their love will silence the voice within. But no matter how close someone gets, if you are disconnected from yourself, you will always feel a gap, and eventually you'll blame the other for not doing enough, being enough, staying enough. In truth, no one can pour into a cup that has a hole at the bottom. Love is not something you need to chase when you are no longer trying to prove that you are worthy of it. When you operate from a space of inner contentment, you become selective, not desperate. You are no longer trying to convince someone to choose you. You are discerning who is truly aligned with your spirit. And this shift changes everything, because now you are not coming from a place of lack, but from a place of wholeness. Your presence becomes rooted, your energy becomes grounded. And in that state, love flows naturally, without pressure or performance. You must realize, longing is not the problem, longing is human. But if that longing becomes begging, it begins to distort your sense of self. You may find yourself lowering your standards, tolerating behavior that bruises your soul, or giving away parts of yourself in the hope that someone will finally stay. But that is not a relationship, that is survival. And you were not born to survive love, you were born to rise in it. The truth is, the right man cannot arrive when your energy is chasing all the wrong ones. If your life is filled with noise, drama or emotional bargains, there is no space for someone of depth to enter. Depth is not attracted to chaos, it is attracted to clarity. So take a step back, not to withdraw from love, but to come home to yourself. Let the desperation fall away, let the fear dissolve. Sit with yourself until the need becomes ease, until the ache turns into awareness. Then when you meet someone, it will not be because you were hunting love down, it will be because you became love. You overflowed. And someone who could truly see that will not need to be chased, they will stay. Not because you asked, but because your presence alone made them want to. In the modern world, there is too much noise, outside and inside. People are constantly speaking, posting, chasing, proving and reacting. They believe the more they do, the more they will attract, but in truth, the most powerful energy is not found in activity. It is found in stillness. Stillness is not laziness, it is not passivity, it is clarity, it is presence. And in that presence, life begins to move toward you in the right way. When you are restless, impatient and always in pursuit, you create a certain turbulence within yourself. That turbulence distorts your perception. You stop seeing what is real and start projecting your hopes and fears onto people and situations. You think someone is the one because you are tired of being alone, not because your inner wisdom says they are aligned. This is how you get entangled with people who are never meant to be close to your heart. Not because you're unworthy, but because you're too noisy within to hear your own intuition. Stillness is where you meet yourself. It is the space where your mind settles, your emotions quiet down, and your inner voice becomes audible again. In that space, you begin to see with fresh eyes. You begin to notice what actually feels good, not just what looks good. You begin to sense when a person is right for your growth, and when they are simply a temporary distraction from your loneliness. People often think they must constantly search for love, swipe endlessly, talk endlessly, try endlessly, but love, the kind that nourishes your being, is not found in noise, it is attracted to peace. It is drawn to someone who is comfortable in their own silence, someone who is not anxious to fill every moment with chatter or validation. When you learn to sit with your own self in stillness, you develop a kind of magnetic calm. This calm tells the world, I am not looking for someone to save me, I am here complete and open to something real. The right person will feel that. The man who is also rooted in depth, clarity and intention will not be moved by noise, by performance, by desperation. He will be drawn to the woman who is centered, the one who does not chase attention because her attention is already whole. In stillness, you don't beg life to give you something, you create the space for life to give you what is aligned. It takes courage to be still, to not react, to not chase. But that courage becomes your strength, and from that strength, the right man will feel your presence even in your silence. He will be able to meet you not in the chaos of the world, but in the quiet truth of your being. So sit still, not because you are waiting, but because in that stillness, you become a home to yourself. And only someone who respects that sacred space will dare to enter. So many people are living under the weight of what they think should happen in their lives. They follow timelines given by society, rules set by culture and expectations passed down by family, often without ever questioning whether those things truly align with who they are. When it comes to love and relationships, this pressure becomes even more intense. There is a silent message that if you don't find someone by a certain age, something is wrong with you. That if you are not in a relationship, you must not be enough, but this is a lie. A relationship is not a badge of worthiness, it is not a trophy. It is a reflection of where you are in your inner journey. When you live according to external expectations, you lose touch with your own natural rhythm. You begin to rush into things not because they feel right, but because you feel behind. You say yes when your heart says no. You stay when your soul wants to leave. You chase people who match society's checklist but don't match your spirit. This is how people end up in relationships that look good from the outside but feel empty on the inside. Alignment with life means coming into harmony with your own truth, not society's idea of success, not your friend's path, not your family's wishes, just yours. When you are truly aligned, there is no rush. There is no fear of missing out. You begin to understand that everything unfolds in perfect timing when you are authentic and present. And from this space, you stop trying to get someone. You stop seeing a relationship as a goal to accomplish. You begin to see it as an extension of who you are, not a solution to what you lack. There is nothing more magnetic than a person who is aligned with their own purpose, joy and presence. Someone who is deeply rooted in themselves, who is not waiting for someone to give them permission to be whole. When you walk your path with honesty and inner clarity, the right people, especially the right partner, naturally come to walk beside you, not because you chased them, not because you were desperate, but because your journey created a resonance they could feel. You must dare to disappoint others in order to stay true to yourself. Yes, they may question your choices. They may not understand why you're still single, why you're not settling, why you've walked away from something that seemed perfect on the surface. But only you know what truly nourishes your soul. And when you honor that truth, you create space for the right person to arrive. Someone who meets you as you are, not as you're pretending to be. So stop looking sideways, stop comparing, stop rushing. Live aligned, not approved. And in that alignment, the person who is meant for you will not need to be chased. They will simply recognize that you have been walking the same path all along, and they will fall into step beside you effortlessly. In this world, much of the attention goes to how things look on the outside. We are taught to polish our image, to curate how we are seen, to fit the idea of what is attractive. But the truth is, real connection does not happen on the surface. Real love, the kind that sees you, stays with you and grows with you, does not respond to appearance, it responds to energy. You might have noticed this already. There are people who walk into a room and without saying a word, the atmosphere changes. They are not necessarily the most beautiful or the most successful by society's standards, but they carry something deeper, a stillness, a confidence that comes from knowing themselves, a warmth that isn't forced, this is energy. And it speaks more loudly than words, more clearly than style, more honestly than charm. The way you feel within yourself radiates outward. If you are constantly doubting your worth, that energy creates a subtle vibration of insecurity. If you're anxious about being chosen, that anxiety weaves its way into your voice, your body language, your very presence. But if you are at peace with yourself, if your inner world is grounded, loving and clear, then that is what people feel when they are around you. That is what they connect with, even if they don't fully understand why. The right person is not just looking for someone who looks good beside them, they are looking for someone who feels good to their soul. And your energy is what determines that, not your resume, not your weight, not your Instagram feed. Your energy is your signature. It tells people whether they are safe, whether they can open up, whether you are living from truth or from performance. You don't need to become anyone else to attract love. You simply need to clear the noise within you, the self-doubt, the fear, the comparison, and return to your natural state of being. In that naturalness, you are already magnetic. You don't need to chase. When you embody your own essence fully, you become a beacon, and the right person will feel drawn to you, not because you tried to get their attention, but because they felt your energy calling to something deep within them. This is why inner work matters more than outer effort. This is why your energy is your truest calling card. You cannot fake alignment, you cannot fake peace, but when it's real, people feel it. So stop asking what you need to do to get someone, start asking how you can return to the most alive, honest version of yourself. Because when you are in alignment, the right man will not pass you by, he will feel your presence, your depth, your light, and he will want to stay, not because you convinced him, but because your energy quietly said, this is home. In the search for love, many people lose themselves. They begin by wanting connection, which is natural, but somewhere along the way, they start to make the presence of another person the center of their world. When that happens, the relationship no longer grows from mutual respect or shared vision, it begins to revolve around fear. Fear of loss, fear of rejection, fear of being alone. And where fear takes root, love cannot fully blossom. The deepest relationships are not built on constant effort to hold on, they are built on mutual freedom. When you are constantly worried about whether someone will stay, you stop being present. You start to overthink, overgive, overanalyze, and in doing so, you stop being yourself, you become someone who is performing instead of simply being. But the right connection does not require performance, it requires presence, it requires honesty, and above all, it requires space. Space to breathe, space to grow, space to choose each other freely every day. Letting go of control is not about being passive or indifferent, it is about releasing the illusion that you can force something to happen or hold someone in your life just by trying harder. The truth is, people are not possessions. You don't own anyone's love, you cannot trap someone's loyalty through effort alone. What is real will stay not because you hold it tightly, but because it chooses to remain. When you release the need to control the outcome, when you stop micromanaging your relationships, timing, or how someone feels, you shift your energy entirely. You become lighter, more peaceful, more magnetic. Why? Because peace is attractive, trust is attractive. When someone senses that you are not clinging to them but simply enjoying them, they feel free, and in that freedom, real intimacy can grow. People feel safe to be themselves when they are not being pressured to meet your expectations. So many are afraid that if they don't hold on tightly, love will slip away. But the opposite is often true. Love that is given room to grow naturally becomes deeper. When you stop chasing, when you stop trying to force it, the right person will come toward you, not out of obligation, but out of desire. And there is nothing more beautiful than being chosen freely without pressure. Let go of timelines, let go of anxiety around who will stay, let go of the idea that you must make it work at all costs. Instead, work on your own inner alignment, focus on becoming the kind of person who does not need to hold on to love out of fear, but can allow it to enter and stay out of freedom. This is the essence of grace in relationships. When you operate from trust rather than control, from peace rather than panic, you don't chase love, it comes and rests beside you naturally. And when it does, it won't need to be forced because it will flow. In conclusion, if you want the right man to come into your life, stop chasing it. The journey toward love begins within you, in the depths of your own being. You must first embrace your own wholeness, your own peace and your own alignment. When you stop running from yourself and start accepting and nurturing who you truly are, you become magnetic. The right person will be drawn to you not because you chased them, but because your energy and presence radiate clarity, confidence and authenticity. True love is not a transaction or a chase. It is a natural unfolding, a meeting of souls that happens when you are whole and complete in yourself. When you live from this place of inner peace, trust and freedom, you no longer need to beg for attention or affection. You attract the kind of connection that is deeply rooted not in need but in mutual respect and shared growth. The right man will come not because you sought him, but because your vibration, your inner peace and your authenticity created the perfect conditions for love to find its way to you. So stop searching, stop performing and start being. Be true to who you are. And when the right person comes into your life, it will not be because of any effort to force the connection, but because you created the space for it to happen naturally. Trust that in letting go of the chase, you will receive everything you truly need in its own time, in its own way. Embrace the fullness of who you are, and the love that is meant for you will arrive without any need for chasing.